The equation h equals 80t minus 16t squared models the height h in feet an object propelled straight up from the ground with an initial velocity of 80 feet per second reaches in t seconds. A. Graph the equation h equals 80t minus 16t squared. B. What is the maximum height the object reaches? Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our equation in standard form. So we have h is equal to negative 16t squared plus 80t. Now we'll find our vertex. So our first coordinate of our vertex is t, and we'll use the formula negative b over 2a. And b is 80, so we have negative 80 over 2 times negative 16, which is negative 80 over negative 32. And if we divide the top and the bottom by negative 16, we get 5/2. So our t value for our vertex is 5/2. Now let's take 5/2 and put it back into our formula, our equation, and we have negative 16 times 5/2 squared plus 80 times 5/2. And that's equal to negative 16 times 25 over 4 plus 80 times 5/2. And we'll do some canceling here to make our arithmetic a little easier. 4 goes into 16 4 times, and 2 into 80 40 times, giving us negative 4 times 25 is negative 100, and 40 times 5 is 200, and that's equal to 100. So our vertex will be situated at 5/2, 100. Right? 5/2 being 2.5. Let's come over to our graph. 2.5 on the x-axis and up to 100. About right there. Now let's find our x-intercepts, and we do that by factoring our equation. H equals, and we'll factor out a negative 16t, and we're left with t minus 5 as the other factor. Setting our factors that have a variable in them, we have t is equal to 0 and t minus 5 is equal to 0. So actually we should have set this equation equal to 0 to factor, and then set all factors containing variables equal to 0 using the 0 factor property. So we have t equals 0 and t equals 5. So those our x-intercepts then are 0, 0, which is the origin, and 5, 0. And let's put those on the graph. So we have 0, 0, and 5, 0. Now the other point we want to find is our y-intercept. So we'll go back to our equation, or in this case our h-intercept, I guess you would say. H is equal to negative 16, and we're going to put in 0 for t's. So negative 16 times 0 squared plus 80 times 0, and that gives us a 0. So our y-intercept is at the origin as well. So let's go ahead and connect those points and draw a sketch of the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 80t. Now for part B, what is the maximum height the object reaches? If you'll look back at the graph, our vertex is the maximum height. So our max height is 100 feet. And that's when t is equal to 2.5 seconds. That is the coordinates 2.5, 100 of our vertex.